Well, good evening, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Welcome into the special Sunday night edition of On the Hunt. I'm sorry, you guys. I was out of town last night. I spent the weekend out in the woods with my team, and then I went on a wild goose chase adventure last night out in the deep woods of Alabama. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Never trust your GPS fully, okay? Because I ended up on an off-road adventure last night like I have never been on before. And it ended up being kind of funny and cool, but it could have ended very badly, okay, for me. I thought I was hearing banjos, okay, at one point. Okay, I was so deep in those woods, out in a road that wasn't even a road. Okay, so, but anyways, we have a fantastic show tonight. You guys, I have one of my bestest friends here who we have not seen in a week. Okay. Dr. Dennis Carroll has gotten his power back on. Okay. And his power has been out for over a week due to the hurricane that hit this past week. And he still doesn't have internet, but he is a trooper, and he's managed to be here tonight. And so we're going to get this party started. We're going to get the show on the road. And so, yeah, we're going to bring Dennis up in just a second. Okay. Now, you guys, if you would like to follow along with all of my shows, please go to my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. It is updated. I did that today. Okay. So that it's updated with all the events that I'm going to be at, including, let's see, let me pull this down real quick, including the Molina Bigfoot Festival. That is coming up in November. I believe that's November the 9th. It is going to be in, I think it's the 9th. Yeah, it's going to be in Molina, Georgia. It's the best little Bigfoot festival in South Georgia. Y'all please come and hang out with us. We got a great lineup there. And also I will be at the Alabama Bigfoot, the East Alabama Bigfoot Town Hall. That's got MK Davis, y'all, is going to be there. Please come see me with Stacy Brown and Tyler Howell and Flat Rock and Dale Boswell. It's going to be a great time. That is in January. And then, of course, I do have the World UFO Conference. The fall edition is November the 2nd. That's in North Georgia up in Demarest. I think that is at just one of the colleges there. I said Highlands and I was wrong. It's at Piedmont College, I think. Okay, so y'all come see me at Piedmont College on November 2nd. Those are all Saturday events. Okay, so there's probably a whole lot of more events I'm going to be at, but those are the ones I can remember right now. Okay, so, and I was actually supposed to be at the Woodwalkers event. They had a meet and greet in Alabama yesterday, or all throughout the week up until last night or today, and I didn't make it because I was on a off-roading adventure, and I just ended up turning around and going home after a 2-hour drive out there. But it was still fun. We got a little Bigfooting in while we were out there. My son and I, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about the Bigfoot removal by helicopter. That this is potential. Okay, there was a video that surfaced yesterday here in Georgia. You know, I'm a Georgia Bigfoot field researcher. I've been out with my team all weekend. I'm going to give you my opinion on this video. I've got some still shots from it. This is actually, it's a video that you can find on TikTok. It's actually even on YouTube right now that's making its rounds. It looks as though there is a potential Bigfoot being carried underneath 2 helicopters that look militaristic, kind of like black helicopters. And it could be absolutely. We're going to talk about that. And also there was another video that we're going to discuss too, that came out several years ago it looked like a Bigfoot being carried off as well by its foot, dangling underneath a helicopter. And we'll talk about some other Bigfoot extraction stories, some encounters, some things that have been making the rounds. Okay, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the background and how and why that might be occurring. It's going to be a good show. Okay, so to help me talk about all this craziness tonight, I do have my good friend, Dr. Dennis Carroll, here in the studio. Dennis has a YouTube channel called Hunting the Shadows. He is often on other people's shows and podcasts. He's even going to be on Spaced Out Radio this week with Dave Scott. I can't wait to see that. I will stay up late for that one. So he has over 40 years, 50 years maybe, I don't know, a lot of experience in the paranormal and with occult, demonology, cryptids, UFOs, Bigfoot, Dogman, you name it. Please help me welcome to the show our friend, Dr. Dennis Carroll. Hey, Dennis.
Good evening. It's good to be back.
Well,
I feel
thank
like
you,
I'm coming out of the darkness into the light again.
Oh my gosh, Dennis, I am so sorry that happened to you. I know it's been devastating over in South Carolina where you live with the hurricane that hit about over a week ago now. Tell me a little bit about it. I know the audience has been worried about you. What's been going on?
It's been quite an ordeal, definitely. I sustained a little damage to some of my property, not my house itself, but there were some people around me that didn't make it, put it that way. And I feel very fortunate that I came through this. It's been quite an ordeal, though, absolutely. And I'm still not up to 100%. I still don't have the internet back yet, so hopefully that won't be much longer.
Well, I hope it comes back on soon. But hey, you're here, and it's working great. Okay, I can hear you and I can see you, and we have a lot to talk about tonight, Dennis. I've really missed you for this week. You usually come on my channel at least once a week, it seems like, and I see you over on your channel throughout the entire week, and so yes, you have been missed for sure, and it feels good to have you back. But you sent me an interesting clip to a video involving what looked like a
I miss
Bigfoot.
you and. I miss you and all of my friends out there. Definitely missed all of you. And I want to thank all of you for your prayers and your good vibes you've been sending me. That helped a whole lot. Definitely.
Oh man, there's been an outpouring of support for you, Dennis. And even Scott, what's up, Scott? He says, Dennis, come stay at my house if your power's not back on. Okay. And well, luckily his power's back on, Scott. He just doesn't have his internet. So but that's very sweet. I know a lot of people have been reaching out, asking what they can do to help. And we've been saying a lot of prayers for you, Dennis, and everybody else has been affected by the hurricane right now. And I know my friend Robbie Rains, he just got his power back on too, the same time you got yours on in South Carolina. So it's good to have y'all back. All right. Well, yes. Thank you, Scott. That's very sweet. Okay. Well, you sent me an interesting video. I want to talk about that video with the potential Bigfoot here in just a few minutes. But I wanted to go over kind of what happened to me this weekend. And my team was out doing some research this weekend, Dennis. And I want to.
You had quite an adventure, I think, didn't you? Quite an adventure.
I did. Well, any time I go out with my team, it's an adventure, and we're pretty hardcore, like boots on the ground field researchers. And so we get out deep in those woods, and it's almost like the high strangeness is attracted to us. Okay, and it was no different on Friday night. Thank you, Noel, for becoming a member of my channel. By the way, if you guys want to support the channel, y'all become a channel member or join my Patreon, please. And Amy, thank you for that super sticker. That is so sweet of you. It's good to see you here. Okay, so I went out Friday night, Dennis. Went out Friday night with my team. We broke off into smaller teams. We had some interesting activity this weekend. We were actually in Georgia. Okay, so we're doing it at an undisclosed location, doing some Bigfoot field research, a place that has a lot of strange activity. We found a lot of tree structures down there. We found my son had his first Bigfoot sighting down there a few months ago. And so we started a new team, actually. So now I'm on a brand new team. It's with all the people from my North Georgia cryptid researchers, but now we've started a new team called Seekers. And it's really in memory of our friend Bob Grumpy Wilson. It actually, the word includes his call sign for his ham radio and stuff. So we kind of transferred the North Georgia cryptid researchers over to Seekers now, Dennis. And so we all came together for that. And we had such an interesting night. That first night we went out and broke off into a team with my friend Kristen and Sean. And I did take my son out there this weekend too. But we had some really wild stuff that went down, including kind of feeling like we were flanked on both sides by something out in the woods. And of course, my son was swearing it was an S walker, if you know what I mean. I think it was Bigfoot out there. And, I talk a lot about how when we're out in the field, I'm not so worried about Bigfoot. I'm more worried about humans. Okay. Well, that kind of came to fruition this weekend because, Dennis, while we were out there pretty late. We had walked a long, long ways, okay, down a long trail. And as we were coming back, we knew there were other teams out in the area too that were on our team. And we radioed in, we were seeing lights, we were seeing laser beams and stuff. And Dennis, I got to tell you, this is so important for people who are out in the field doing field research. When you're doing Bigfoot field research, take all the precautions, okay, to stay out of harm's way. Because we radioed in to see if our team was still out there and everybody had already gone in for the night and there was back at base camp. So we had people out there with laser beams, like a gun. And they kept pointing it up towards our way. Okay.
No,
and so we had no, it's not good at all. They didn't actually point it at us, but they were, we knew there was somebody out there probably had a gun. And so we had to call into base camp and had them come extract us from our location. They had to come out and with a truck and come pick us all up that night because safety is always first, Dennis. Okay, safety's first. But then I find it kind of interesting because I wanted to talk tonight about extracting Bigfoot. Okay, the extraction of Bigfoot and these videos that I've been seeing, these pictures that I have of Bigfoot's being extracted. But that happened to us this weekend while we were out in the field. We encountered some hunters out there that had some dogs that were out running around like coon dogs, hunting dogs. And one of them happened to have a laser on their weapon. And it was pointed kind of towards us a little bit. It didn't actually hit us though, of course, but it could have been a very dangerous situation, Dennis.
That's not good at all. That's the thing. That's the problem you run into when you do any research like that. You've got the human factor in some of this stuff, and it can be more dangerous than anything else. And I have talked with game wardens a lot, and their job is a very dangerous job because, like they've told me before, you can see what's happening on the street sometimes, but in the woods, you're at a very big disadvantage. And if you're going to do something illegal, something that you don't want anyone to see, where you're going to go? You're going to go to the woods to do it. Deep in the woods where you can do stuff. That's why we've said so much about the government liking national parks and places like that are so far out of the way of civilization, because you need places like that to do things that you want to do. Absolutely. That's the problem. And that's the thing that you may run into anytime you step foot in the woods.
Oh yeah. We were not expecting that. Okay. Cause we like to go out there when there's not a whole lot of people out in the woods. We go pretty deep out in the middle of nowhere to do our research. But at least we had the wherewithal to call into base camp to make sure we thought it was our team. And, a lot of us have different equipment. Some of us do carry lasers because we are dealing with things that are occurring in the sky. And some people like to use laser beams to look for, like, point at UFOs and stuff. And so we thought, well, maybe that was just somebody from our team, but it turned out it was nobody from our team. So we knew that was bad news right away. And we were actually hiding. Here's another thing. Whenever you come across, if somebody were to come across us, we're going to go duck. You're not going to find us in the woods. It sounds wild, right? But you know, if somebody were to walk up past us, we would go duck down. Nobody probably see us. Now, not always. Sometimes we make our presence known, but sometimes it's best not to. So, anyways, I know I'm giving away some pro tips right there. But yeah, nonetheless, it can get dangerous. It can get dicey out in the field. So we had to be really careful about what we're doing and our having communications with our base camp as well. That is so imperative to, if you're out in the field and you're with a team, and please don't go out in the field by yourselves, y'all. Please don't. Have somebody back at your base camp with communications so that you can call in and you know where everybody is at every moment. Okay, somebody knows where everybody is at, and so that was our case.
And we used to have saying, Jessica reminds me of that. You need to have a backup for the backup sometimes too. That's the way that goes.
That's right. Yes, and it was the first time we've ever had to call in a vehicle to come get us out of there. The first time ever. But it's all part of the experience when it comes to the hunting. And honestly, we were having a lot of activity, and when we got to our destination where we had hiked up to, Kristen, one of my teammates, she actually did get a creature in her FLIR. Like, she was looking through her amazing FLIR she's got, which is like a night vision device or thermal device for people who don't know what that is. And it was bipedal, and it was ducking from tree to tree. It was moving from tree to tree right in front of us. So we were having some interesting activity on Friday night. It was exhilarating.
That sounds very interesting.
It was.
Yeah, I've been in that situation too, where I was actually surrounded by something like that one night out in the woods of Oconee County, which is not that far from Georgia. It just can be quite an unsettling feeling when you know that you're completely surrounded and something is watching you like that.
Yes, I loved it. I thought it was great. I love being surrounded by things, and it made, when the hair on the back of your neck stands up, that's like the best feeling for me. Okay, because I know that's what we're out there for. We're not out there to be scared, and to run off and cower.
It gets the adrenaline and the juice. It gets the adrenaline and the juice going really good.
It does. It does. It was great.
Yeah.
And so the next day we ended up getting up and leaving, because I had promised my friend Mark Green that I would go and speak to the crowd at the Woodwalkers meet and greet. Okay, there was a meet and greet, Bigfoot, like a bunch of Bigfooters and stuff out in Alabama. And so I decided to pack up and leave and go to that on Saturday to go see some good friends of mine that were going to be there. And so that was another experience, Dennis. And that's where I got lost at some point out in the woods. I didn't have the coordinates to get there. And so if anybody's watching that was at that meet and greet, I'm so sorry, y'all. I didn't make it. I'm really sorry. I got there. I was in 20 miles of it. And it said on my GPS I was in 2 miles of it. And it had me turning down off this road. And see, here's the thing, Dennis. I was coming in from the back way. I took back roads to get there. And everybody else was probably on a main road somehow. I don't know. And so I didn't get like good directions. I just had the name of the hunt camp. And my GPS took me somewhere totally wrong.
Sounds like you took the scenic route.
I did, but it was actually quite an adventure. And so it took me off on a road, and it didn't even say road or anything on it. The GPS took me off the main road, and it said, take, White Bluff, or I think is what it said, like White Bluff or something. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. This must be a forest road. It had a number like on it at the time. So I took it, and it wasn't even a road or anything. And I went down it, and there was a berm. If you know what a berm is, like everybody knows what not everybody that's watching probably doesn't know what a berm is, but it's like where they pile up a bunch of dirt where you can't get past the road. Like they want to close a road down. They put a berm up.
Oh,
yeah. So there was a fork in the road. And when I saw the fork, I was like, well, maybe I can just go around this. So I took the other side, the fork, and I ended up on a washed out trail. I drove through a creek, And I went through about 5 mud holes. Like my car, it was so wild. It was so wild. And my son was pretty upset. But I was having fun, but I was also terrified at the same time. And I was thinking, man, people are never going to know where I am. This is like goes against all the protocol I've ever done. Like I didn't tell anybody where I was. And it was just bad. So but I made it out of there last night. I made it out, and it was already really dark, and I couldn't get GPS service. I couldn't get cell service. So I ended up just turning around going home. So but I want to give a shout out to Jeff Townsend for helping me out and trying to come find me. And that was awesome. And to Mark Green. Like, shout out to both of y'all for being awesome. But yeah, we had an adventure, Dennis, last night. So that's where I was. I was in the middle of the Alabama woods, riding through mud holes last night, trying to get to the meet and greet. So, yeah, moral of the story is don't trust your GPS. Okay, you can't trust it. Dennis, I have a conspiracy theory. I wonder sometimes if our GPS does not do that on purpose. It like takes you off to like some godforsaken, like my mom almost drove off a bridge one night from her GPS, taking her the wrong way, so.
I almost one time ended up in the middle of the lake following the GPS. So here's one thing we got to remember about GPS, Jessica. It is a man-made thing. It can definitely be manipulated. It can definitely be used for bad purposes too. And I have to wonder sometimes about some of this technology that we have today, if there's some kind of a dark intent behind a lot of it. You have to wonder when situations like that happen, if there's not some kind of manipulation going on with it, especially like with the weather and other things like that in this world. I think there's a lot more to what's going on than we truly realize.
Yes. Well, I always kind of joke around about, man, I don't want one of those cars that can drive itself, because they can be easily controlled, and bad things can happen to you if somebody got the remote control to your car, or took over your system. And I started thinking when I was driving home, I mean, I had like a 2-hour drive home last night after we had been lost. And I didn't panic. I never panicked. I just, I pushed my truck to the limit. I did. And I saw that my truck was way tougher than I thought it was last night. And when I say my truck is covered in mud, it's completely covered in mud. I still haven't washed it. It's covered in mud. I'm going to drop my son off at school tomorrow, and it looks like we've been mudding, okay, in the South. That's how bad it was. But hey, if anybody wants to go off-roading, I will give you guys the coordinates if y'all want to go there. I think it's a great place for people to have Jeeps and stuff, probably. Yeah. But yeah,
that's fun. That is a great pastime, by the way, to go mudding. It's fun, but you want to be in control of it. That's the main thing.
Yes. Well, you want to go mudding when you're planning to go mudding, not when you accidentally happen upon a mud hole. Okay. Or 5 or 6. It was a bunch. Like, it's what really scary too, because when you come up to these big, gigantic mud holes, you don't know how deep they are. And so you just have to kind of pray that, because there's no way for me to back out of where I was. And you just kind of had to pray that like everything's going to be okay. Just gun it, gun it through the mud holes. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I got to do yesterday. It was actually wild. It was really wild.
That's an old saying in the South, Jessica, about that. Between a rock and a hard place, sometimes it's a bad place to be.
It was. I finally found when I got down the road, when I got on the main road, my son was like kind of crying. I hate to call him out on that, because it was scary, and I was just like, I was yeehawing like the Dukes of Hazzard. I swear to God, I was, because I was just trying to. It's like my adrenaline started going. I was like, we're gonna get out of here. I don't give a crap what happens. And so when we got on the main road, I got emotional, because I was like, thank God we lived. We got out of there. Okay. And so, yeah, so I ended up coming home. I got home about midnight last night. But yeah, adventures in Bigfooting, y'all. Yes, it was an adventure.
When when mom and dad began to panic, the kids do too. So it kind of goes over into that. Animals are the same way too. Animals can feel when you're upset or something is out of the ordinary. Kids are definitely that way. It's bound to happen. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Yes, Mike says I disconnected it. Ain't no talking box gonna tell me what to do. Good for you, Mike. That's good. You know what? We also would, it's not a bad idea to go back to paper maps. Okay. Have a paper map in your vehicle because I didn't. I
Well,
didn't.
I found this to be the thing about it, Jessica. GPS is better on laid out streets than it is in the country. Okay. The further out in the rural areas you get, it's not as well, shall we say, coordinated as it is on street level streets, kind of that way. You know what I'm saying? And I found out that Amazon View, the world view thing, that's the same way. It's not as good in rural areas as it is on city streets.
Yes, that is I know it we've become so dependent on GPS. We have. I admit it. I am too. I'm dependent on it. You know what I did? I actually had the wherewithal to actually take a screenshot of my directions about halfway through my trip because I was like, I might lose cell service or I might lose my internet when I get into Alabama. I mean, it was like super deep
Mm.
into the Alabama woods. And so I did that. So thank goodness I did. So I was able to get back until I could get service again because I had done that. But we need to, I needed to plan better. That was all my fault. Okay. It was all my fault. Thank God we didn't end up on some kind of missing 411 or something. Like it could have been bad. It could have been really bad. But yeah, Harold or Daryl, I don't know which one, if it's you or Harold. Your truck would have definitely made it. You got a beast of a truck. Okay, I've seen your truck before.
Well,
Yeah.
so don't worry. If you go missing, I'll come looking for you.
Well, thank
No
you.
problem.
Well, I do have some good remote viewing friends too that would be able to track me down. So and Jeff, I think it was Jeff told me that he would have contacted the head of one of my teams. He was prepared to call them if he didn't hear from me. Okay, to do some remote viewing. So they can track us down. But okay, so we talked about me needing extraction on Friday night out of a really dangerous area. Well, let's talk about this video, Dennis, because I've got two examples that I'm going to show tonight of potential Bigfoots being carried out by helicopters out of a rural area, country area. I hate that word, rural. I can't say it.
Well, let me stretch your memory a little bit here, okay? Do you remember Mount St. Helens when when it erupted and all that? There were stories of very much like this of government helicopters being seen ferrying the bodies of Bigfoot out. Some of them were in cages, supposedly. This may not be anything new here. Okay, this may be the real deal in that respect because it's very much like what was reported during the episode of Mount St. Helens. And I find that an interesting correlation, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I was going to bring Mount St. Helens up. It's funny that you brought that up because I have a newspaper or a paper, I guess it is newspaper article from this was in 1980. Okay, so this happened in 1980, and it says eruption decapitates St. Helens.
Yeah.
So it was a volcanic eruption. That's in Mount St. Helens is in Washington State. It says at least 9 die. Spirit Lake gone. Spirit Lake gone. And it was devastating for the entire area. It was a huge natural disaster. And there were reports that Bigfoots were seen not only carrying animals out of there and stuff, they were fleeing for their lives. And there was a report. I remember, like firemen and stuff taking Bigfoots out of there, or being taken to where the Bigfoots were to go help them get out of there. So something that I find super interesting too is that this is the same area where back in 1924, there were some gentlemen that had an attack by Bigfoots, when one of them actually shot at one of the Bigfoots. I think they shot it and might have unalived it. It was called the Ape Canyon attack. And this is a print actually from that area. That's a pack of matches right there. In what looks like that's a pretty good Bigfoot track right there. But that happened at Mount St. Helens.
Very classic looking one. We got to remember something about this. Even natural disasters affect cryptids, just like they do you and I. And whether it be forest fires, earthquakes, volcanoes, whatever the situation, they're going to be affected just like we are. And that's another thing we have to understand. And I'm going to say this, since we've had Helene come through here, and she was a bad gal, definitely. I was going to warn some of my friends in North Carolina to keep your eyes open. You may see things right about now that you thought you never would see before. Because you got to remember this: natural disasters displace things. They take them out of their territory, make them go into other territories and stuff. Just like a lot of times that you have the problem with black bears coming out of the mountains, foraging for food and all that. They're leaving their territory. They're being displaced. Either if it's by the want of more game, or either by man-made capabilities of deforestation, or whatever the situation. You're displacing these things. So right now would be probably a time that you might see something take place like that. So I was going to tell them to keep your eyes open. You may see something.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I was thinking about that when the hurricanes that hurricane was hitting a little over a week ago. I was wondering about it's not only all the animals in the area, but also the Bigfoots, the dogmen, whatever cryptids are out there too. We have a lot of discussion about like where they go and they're not being seen. Are they living in the caves? Are they living underground? Are they interdimensional? Are they just disappearing into portals? I just hope that they all have somewhere to go. I hope they have somewhere to go during natural disasters like that, and unnatural disasters, let's just say, if you know what I mean. But that's hurricanes pretty tough. And yeah, it's really a sad situation because they do get displaced. And so
well, even storm fronts can do the same thing. There's flooding, especially in the mountains. There's flooding and stuff like that. They can displace these animals as well. For you and for me, Jessica, the question of whether there's a Bigfoot or not was answered quite some time ago. Okay, we know without a doubt. We've seen, what we've experienced, that this thing is real. For a lot of people, though, they don't believe that. But that's why they get surprised when they see something like that. I've seen Bigfoot several times at a distance. One time, very close up. I mean, we made eye contact. I could have reached out and touched him. That's how close I was. I could tell you the truth, I could feel the body heat off of him. Okay, that's how close I was to this thing. And the way it completely disappears. That's a story from another show. But anyway, to me, it's real. It's just as real as a tree or a bush or a rock or a squirrel or deer. It is real, and it's part of nature too, in a way, although it may not be an exact part of nature like other things are. Like you say, it may have an interdimensional capability to it, but that still does not mean they could not be displaced, definitely, by some kind of natural thing going on. And a lot of times, I think the government understands these things. They realize this stuff because, like you and I have talked about so many times before, they are very good at weaponization. And they are looking, just like with the Kandahar Giant and all these other incidences, they step in and take control of situations like this for a purpose. And I think definitely Bigfoot would fit into that scenario very easily.
Yeah, it would. It would. Kent Baxter, thank you for the comment here. It says Mount St. Helens, I heard the military had a Bigfoot in their operation van to help retrieve the dead bodies of his fellow Bigfoots. I've heard that too. So I mean that would line up with the government, the military knowing that Bigfoots exist and potentially working with them on some level.
Well, let me say this, okay, and I mean this is my own experience. I have had several Bigfoot expeditions shadowed by the government, interference by the government. I mean, without a doubt, it was them. Why were they doing that? Why are they so interested in these things? Well, I've talked about this before, and this is like a show for another time too. But when I was approached to be recruited by the CIA, they mentioned something very much like this to me. They said that they were interested in people with paranormal abilities and people and things of a supernatural nature or talent. I found that to be a very interesting statement of what they told me. And that kind of blew my mind because I realized that they had their hand in some very, very dark stuff.
It makes you wonder. It definitely makes you wonder. And yeah, I've always had my suspicions, though, Dennis. Don, hey Don, please be safe down there in Florida. I don't know if you're in Alabama or Florida. I think you live near Donnie Miller, well, from what I can remember. Don says, "Hey y'all, incoming Category 4 hurricane. Milton's Eye is going to pass close to Mayaca State Park. I wonder if the skunk apes know it's coming and are doing hurricane prep. It's probably
Somebody
just like
said
a lot of animals. They can sense
somebody
it.
said today, of course, it was a joke, and I know this is a joking matter, but it said that Milton was headed for Disney World.
Oh, well, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah. Well, that might not be a terrible thing, but I'm gonna leave that there. But yeah, it's but I have a lot of good friends that are right. It's headed straight for them in the Tampa area, Tampa Bay, Sarasota area. That's I have a huge concentration of friends right there. So yeah, if you guys know me well enough to have my number, y'all call me. Y'all come up here. Okay. Anybody that's down there in the eye of that storm that's going to be headed your way. If you know me well enough to have my number, y'all call me, and y'all are welcome to come up, and we'll find a place for y'all to hang out until the storm passes. Okay. Okay, but that's a good point, Dawn. That's a good point. I can appreciate that. I do think that they would, the Bigfoots, the cryptids, whatever's out there, would be just similar to the animals, having some sort of a premonition, they can sense the energy about it. They can sense the environment changing, just the energy and the frequencies and stuff. And they have they have an internal warning, right, Dennis?
I would think so. I would think they would have that sensitivity to know that the environment is changing or something is happening. I'm going to say this about Bigfoot. A lot of people, they go tramping out in the woods looking for him, and I'm sure that he knows without a doubt when you're at least 5 miles away from him. Okay. I think that's how sensitive this guy is and how attuned he is to the very atmosphere of his environment. So it would be no doubt without he would know a storm was coming through or something like that. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into this video that you sent. Okay, you forwarded over to me, and I'd actually seen it. I'd seen a YouTube video. Someone I know had mentioned it before, but I saw it and I thought, I kept looking at it and I kept thinking, I don't know if that's a Bigfoot. Okay, I don't know if that's a Bigfoot, but I'm going to show still shots from this, and I'm going to give a play-by-play of what the gentleman says in this video. And so I want people to here. I'm going to pull up the banner. If you want to go to this TikTok channel, it's TikTok. Y'all know that's my trusted news source, Dennis. I'm kidding. It's really not. This is his TikTok. Okay, so y'all can go there. I went there today. The video, it's not like viral, I don't think, but it might be by now. It only had like 1,900 views, I think, which, I mean, that could be viral by some people's standards. You know what I mean? But this is his TikTok. And so this is the these are a couple of still shots because I have to give this fellow credit. Okay, this is his video. But he's driving down this guy. Let me take this down. This fella is in Georgia. Didn't say exactly where in Georgia, but he is okay. I want to give you a background on this guy. He's an outdoorsman. He may work on a farm or something. I don't know. He does. He's a hunter. Okay, he's a hunter. He sounds like a country dude. Okay, sounds like one of my peoples. All right, down here in Georgia. So he goes. Let's see. He said so he's riding in the country somewhere on a pasture land in Georgia. It looked kind of like South Georgia to me. Okay, I'm just gonna say South Georgia. But he spotted 2 military style helicopters. Now this picture these are far away. I'm gonna do a zoom in because there's more. So this is how he started off. And then it gets a little bit closer. Okay, actually that's still far off. This is a still shot from that. Take that down. Okay, if this is a Bigfoot, it looks like it's in a mummy bag, like a mummy sack, like a sleeping bag that you camp in. Okay, that's my opinion. It's just my opinion because it looks too like there's no arms and legs flaying out. You know what I mean, Dennis? You can't see like a definitive arm or leg or anything. And so he immediately said, "There's a Bigfoot." He said, "We might have a Bigfoot in Georgia." He said, "They're dragging him with that helicopter. I wonder where they're taking him." And so he said that.
Well, I put this video on a very large screen. I like to do that because that gives you a better perspective sometimes. And you can, I think, see arms and legs like a little bit or some kind of indentation of that on that figure. It is definitely man-like. I'll put it that way in appearance.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. Okay, that's interesting. Because there's a lot of different things this could be, right? It could be like a piece of farming equipment because it does look as though this is it's over a farmland. Okay, some sort of a field. You can't really see because I cropped the picture a little bit where I was taking screenshots of his TikTok, and so there is it's like a pasture underneath there or like an open field. It looks like somewhere in South Georgia.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. That looks kind of like South Georgia terrain to me.
It does. Okay. So down there, they do have a lot of farming equipment. Now, I did want to make, I'm sorry, my dog. I did want to kind of, okay, Freya. I wanted to talk a little bit about animals and like national parks and zoos and stuff. It's not even just national parks. Okay, it can be anywhere. Sometimes animals have to be airlifted out by helicopter when there's something that happens to the animals. Like let's just say, like if there's an outbreak of diseases at a national park, sometimes people will go in and airlift the animals out. And it's just to relocate them, maybe to relocate them to another area. They have to put them to sleep or, tranquilize them and then tie ropes around them and airlift them out. So it could be another animal.
Well, whatever that is. Whatever that is in this video is bipedal. It's not like you would lift up an animal like a horse or a cow or donkey. The legs are going to be sticking down. That's not what you see on this. Like I said, this is a very I just say man-like. I'm not saying it's a man, but it looks very much like a human in appearance in that way. Or like a Bigfoot, definitely. To me, that's what it looks like. Now, whether this is real or not, we can't say 100% that it's, real because we weren't there when it happened. But it's very interesting because this is not, I don't think, it doesn't even resemble like a bear. Now, you got to remember something about bears. When they stand up, by the way, and I have seen them walk a long distance on 2 legs. Okay, they can do it when they want to. I saw a bear once that was injured And that's all he could do was walk around on 2 legs. He couldn't get down on 4. But they have a noticeable hump in their back and along their back neck. This thing doesn't have that as far as I can see. It's not humped like a bear. Okay. That's an interesting attribute of that.
Well, there's several different ideas of what this could be, of people that are the chat that's going on, our live chat. For people who are listening on podcast format, come back and watch my YouTube video if you get a chance, and check out the chat. We've got a wonderful chat going on tonight, and you can see the pictures as well. So some people are saying, well, it could be farming equipment. Someone even said it could be a victim of the hurricane as well. It could be a victim, but it looked bigger than a human, Dennis. Don't you think it looked bigger than a human? What do you think?
Well, since I pulled this thing up on the big screen, I pulled it up on the big screen, got a better. That thing is huge in comparison to what I think an average person would be. That looks to me, and this is what I'm going to say, it's got to be at least 8 or 9 feet tall if that thing were standing on the ground. That's how, if you look at how big it is compared to the helicopter itself above it, that's bigger than a human being would be, a normal human.
Yes. Okay. I agree with that. It could also, you know what I thought it could be too? A statue. You know, like somebody's moving a statue from one county to the next or something. I mean, it could be that too. It's just an idea. It's just an idea.
You would move it. I've never seen too many statues moved by helicopter. Most of the time, you move them things by trucks and not helicopters. You know, most of the time.
I agree with that statement too. Yeah, Easy Cash says to have 2 helicopters though, that seems weird to me. When you think about it, one to land and unhook, the other to hold the load. Yeah, because it did look like it was being held by those helicopters, right? Or
fighter
no?
jets do the same thing, Jessica. Fighter jets do the same thing when they fly. They have a backup, a wingman sort of that watches them. That other helicopter may be there to divert somebody, or like somebody came up very close with in an airplane trying to take a picture of what they were doing or whatever. That other helicopter would be there to divert any kind of a situation, maybe from happening. You've got somebody like a guard with you at all times in situations like that. And I could see why that second helicopter would definitely be there. Now, we had this very same thing, particular thing like this happen supposedly with some retrieval of outer space objects. And they always have more than one helicopter with them. There's always that wingman checking, sort of riding shotgun with them.
Mm-mm. Well, that's very interesting. It's very interesting. Now, this is not the only potential Bigfoot. Now, we're not saying it's a Bigfoot, but it could be Bigfoot here. We don't know. But it is mighty suspicious. It definitely is. But there was another picture that was going around, and it was, it got into my world, my crazy world. Somebody sent it to me last year. Okay, I think it was last year, or maybe it was the beginning of this year, because we're already almost through the whole year. So it was just a few months ago. I saw this picture, and this made the rounds. Okay, I saw this on Facebook. It was in one of the Facebook groups. Somebody posted this, but that looked like a Bigfoot with its legs dangling, it being held by its legs behind a helicopter in the distance. This was wild. Now it says an anonymous man who was actually a hiker had taken a picture of this Bigfoot being carried away in a helicopter. He said that he had heard a commotion and he looked up and he took a picture. He had the wherewithal to take his cell phone out and take a picture of the helicopter.
I think in rescue or in military, you would not lift someone alive like that. There would probably someone or something that's been unalived. Then you would lift it that way. But usually when there's a rescue or type thing like that, you're standing upright. You're never like that unless you're deceased.
Yeah. Okay. And that was my thought too. Like, I don't think that anything that was alive, it would be getting carried off like that. So it looks like a Bigfoot getting carried away. If there was a, if there was a, there's a picture of a Bigfoot getting hauled by a helicopter, that's it. Okay, that looks like it. I've never seen anything like that before. But they say, okay, when people have analyzed this picture, they say that that helicopter is actually more like a search and rescue type of helicopter. It's not one that would be like a load bearing, like a Black Hawk or something, some kind of helicopter that would actually carry something that was heavy like that. That's more of like a search and rescue that would be like carry more of a lighter load, I guess, or just a passenger or not. Yeah.
Usually
So,
during the rescue, Jessica, there will be something like a stretcher or something like that
yeah,
you'll be in. It's something, yeah. You don't to carry something like that is very unusual. In that respect, it's like I say, this is something. This is just my own opinion. Is how they would treat something that they don't consider human. You know what I mean?
yes, that's true. Okay. Well, I wanted to bring this to our attention tonight. Okay, because what would we do without our fact checkers? I tell you what, this was actually fact checked, and I came across this. So I've got to put this out there, even though I'm usually, if something gets fact checked, it usually means that it's right. That's my opinion. Okay, but with this one, I don't know if I disagree with them, but then again, it's like, okay, anything that gets fact checked, you need to look into it a little further, because why is that getting fact checked out of everything? Okay, like why are they targeting this for a fact check? Have I said fact checked enough tonight? Okay. And so, but this one actually looks kind of interesting, because I don't know if this is a little valid here. Okay. And so this is actually at leadstories.com. Mm-hmm.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Uh-oh. We just lost Dennis, y'all. His audio was a little choppy there. Okay, so this is actually, you guys have probably seen.
What's going on? Oh, okay. Yeah, some good close up. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Dennis is back. We lost you for a second there, Dennis. Okay, so this is actually interesting, because it shows that picture of the man from like the 1800s. It was a hunter that had gotten a bear and strung it up in a tree, and then someone had actually photoshopped that to be what looked like a Sasquatch, apparently. And so what they were saying at this fact checker site was that that's actually someone had photoshopped that Bigfoot from that picture and put it here for this, and so therefore this was all fake. Okay, that they say that it was all fake. Now, I don't know. It's I don't know. I'm going to leave it up to the audience, okay? Because I don't always believe that everything that gets checked like that means that it's not real, okay? But that it is a valid point, I think, and it does. If you look at the arms, Dennis, it looks just like that same Bigfoot that's in this picture.
Mm-hmm. Well, the one thing about fact checking that you got to always remember, it can be manipulated too, for a certain opinion or something like that. So a lot of these things are suspect, definitely, in my opinion. You've got a lot of suspects and stuff like that.
Okay. I could say some stuff right now. I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know. Okay, so I know someone who runs a fact checking company. Okay, I do, and it might be that same one right there. And I know him personally. And there's a little. I'm just going to say, I don't know for sure, but I think there could be a little bit of government involvement in the fact check stuff. Okay, that's all. I'm gonna leave it right there. That's all I'm gonna say. And so it makes me wonder. It puts another spin on it, though, right? When it comes to some of these things, like, why was that picture so heavily checked? Okay, they did a lot of research on that. Why does it even matter? Okay, because most people, you would think that the general public would be like, oh, it's a Bigfoot. It's not real anyways. But they went out of their way to do a large story on that Bigfoot right there being fake. Okay, so I don't know. Could be
That's like
psyop. Who knows?
that's not something that Elon Musk said the other day. Reminds me of that with the fact checker thing. He said that the one thing wrong with AI is that it's being programmed by humans. So whenever you have the human equation in these things, you got to be suspect about it because humans can be manipulative. They can be manipulated by certain outside forces. So we got to remember that, when it comes to stuff like that. But if this is some type of an AI generated type image, it's a darn good one. They did some really good work on it. They need to work in Hollywood, by the way, or someplace like that. If this is manipulated that way, you know.
Yeah, I like Edgar's statement here because I actually thought that too. Um, I have to think outside the box. Okay, and I think it's really good for us to start thinking outside the box if you don't already. Let's think if you're watching my show, you think outside the box. You do. I know Dennis does. Edgar
Mhm.
says Photoshop the bear in, and the Bigfoot was actually the real original picture. What if? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm not saying that's what it is, but it could be. Okay, could be.
We got to remember something very important,
Okay.
Jessica. There's a section of our government and the governments of the world that deal in misinformation. And I call it misidentification of things on purpose for certain reasons. And we have to be very careful, whatever we're dealing with, whatever our subject is, because there is also that possibility that we're dealing with misinformation on purpose. And, a lot of times this is done to distract us from what we're trying to see. Okay, so that's how they hide. That is the number one way to hide the truth from people. Distract them from it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There are so many distractions, Dennis. I just did that show last week on celebrity. What was that? Some kind of synthetic humans. Again, it was some sort of distractions. Basically, it's like recycled
Uh-huh.
celebrities. Okay, recycled celebrities. Our favorite loved celebrities that have passed on and we've mourned their death. They show back up now, 20, 30, 40 years later, 60 years later, 50 years later. They show up. They're alive. They're well. They're actually living as another person with another identity. I mean, it's just really weird. Everything just seems so fake, so phony. And it's all being exposed right now too. And that's even with a lot of these things that we're told are fake. Maybe it's real, like Edgar said. The original picture could have been that Bigfoot, and they've superimposed the bear on it to make us feel like we're crazy. Okay, I mean, we don't know. You just don't know at this point. What's real, Dennis? That's my question. I don't even know what we live in some weird reality at this point, where everything seems to be fake or like simulated in some way.
Well, there are, in my opinion, certain forces in this world. And I'm not going to get into that tonight. Like I say, it's a show for another time, too. But there are certain forces in this world that definitely want to foster illusions for things. They want to twist our reality, tear down our real reality, and give us another reality that's not even real, that's not really there. I think a lot of times we see that happening. We don't realize what they're really up to in that respect. We have to be very careful about what we assimilate in today's world. Or as Edgar Allan Poe said, believe nothing that you hear and half of what you see. That's very true.
It is true, and I like Steve's comment here. Thank you, Steve. Steve says, I served with CIA field operatives in Central America in the early 90s. This is a direct quote from one. If the American public is lied to, it is for their own good. Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of craziness
Well,
in
they
this
do
world.
that.
That's for sure.
They say stuff like that, Jessica, to justify what they're doing.
Sure.
It's like putting cream on the cake, icing on the cake for them. It makes it look better, no matter what they're doing. They say a lot of things. Like a lot of Democrat people feel that way. Well, we're doing it for America's good, no matter how bad it is, whatever it is they're doing. That's how they try to justify it. That's why I didn't want to work with the CIA when they approached me. Uh, for one thing, I didn't want them putting a burn notice out on me. When they put a burn notice out on you, they burn you down real good. In other words, the only way you leave the CIA most of the time is through the morgue, and you don't want that to happen. These guys are playing for real. They're not just playing a game. They're playing a real thing going on, and they look upon it as being justifiable, even murder or so-called suicide, and all these other things that they do. They justify it. They try to justify it, although it can't be justified really, but they try.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're gonna try always. And Jennifer Patterson, what's up, lady? Thank you so much for that super sticker. That means the world to me. I appreciate you being here tonight. Um, yeah, gosh, we've got a wonderful chat tonight. We have so many people in here, and good times, man. Good times. This is all just very fascinating to me. It's all very fascinating because the first reaction even that I have as a field researcher when it comes to Bigfoot and cryptids, I see these things and I'm like, okay, why is this out in the public right now? Like, is this? I don't know if it's real or not. You want it to be real, but 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be real. Okay, it's probably not real, or we're either going to be told it's not real, or it was leaked out for a purpose. You know what I mean? And so I've got my skeptical mind going with a lot of this stuff. But yeah, I don't go straight to Bigfoot. Okay, I just don't. I don't. I look at these things like the first video that came out yesterday. Um, I did kind of. I'm not snooping. I wasn't snooping on that guy's TikTok. Okay, but I was trying to research a little bit, and his whole TikTok seemed to be pretty, chill. It was chill. There's no Bigfoot stuff on there. There was no. It's just him being a dude, like going out to fishing,
Mhm.
like going fishing and hunting and eating and stuff. It was not like he's not a Bigfoot field researcher. He's not. I don't even think the dude's into Bigfoot probably. So it, I think that I thought he was joking, honestly. When I went and I watched it a couple of times, I was like, maybe he's just saying that to be funny, or maybe he's not. Okay, maybe he's not. Um, I
Mhm.
mean, it's like we said earlier, it's not often that you see helicopters pulling something heavy like that. Okay.
Well,
Um,
here's the bad thing about it, Jessica. A lot of the real stuff may be written off as fake simply because we've become so accustomed to that. We have to be very, very careful as researchers
yeah.
how we assimilate these things. But with AI and all this other stuff, it's very hard to determine many times what you're looking at. And like it's always been over the years, many, many years I've been in this. I've had a lot of people approach me with photographs and video. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? I said, well, it's very interesting, but I have to be there. Or I have to know someone very well that did that before I can actually back it up for you. That was just my policy, which is a good policy. But you have to wonder when you see stuff like this, and you and I both knowing as researchers what we have seen, what we have experienced, we know this is real. The subject we're talking about exists without a doubt. Then we look at these things and we have to wonder, definitely if they fall into the category of our own evidence in that
Hmm.
respect. You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And even if, let's just say, even if these videos, these photos are not authentic, they're not real, they're not organic, that doesn't mean that this doesn't happen. It doesn't mean that it hasn't. Maybe things get put out there to the public to make fun of what's really going on out there. Maybe they do this under the cover of night, and they are moving Bigfoots around and stuff, and that's how they do it.
Well, like I
We
said,
do not know.
with my own experience, I've had government interference in Bigfoot. And why are they doing that? Why are they so interested in that? That's the question we need to ask. Definitely, and try to wonder and try to figure out why they're so interested in these things and what they're doing with them. But like I said, I think the answer for that is their weaponization. That's what they're good at. That's the number one thing they look at. When they look at if they were to meet you, Jessica, for the first time, they say, "Well, now let's see what we can do with Jessica. What kind of weapon we can make out of her." You know, that's just the way their thought works. That's just the way their actions are when it comes to that. They're always looking for something to weaponize. It wouldn't surprise me that they're interested in this because, like I say, I have had heavy government interference in some of my Bigfoot expeditions.
Yeah. Well, I like to think I am the ultimate weapon. I'm just so sweet and nice, but I will kick your butt. Okay, not yours, Dennis. I won't kick your butt, but I got some skills. Okay, okay, and I can remote view, so that's
Well,
pretty
you're a
dangerous.
Georgia girl.
Yeah.
I would expect no less from a Georgia girl. Okay.
Oh no, I know. Watch out now. Watch out. We'll whoop your butt. Okay, catch me outside. How about that? Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay, Terry Brown, thank you so much for being here tonight. I see your super sticker here. Thank you. That's so sweet. This is Terry Brown, everybody. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel, Tales of the Sonic Voyage. He makes amazing music. A lot of it's based on cryptids and strange, high strangeness and stuff. So thank you, Terry. He says, great show, Jessica. Thanks. Good to see you. Good to see you too, Terry. Even though I can't see you, I know you're here. Okay. I got to hang out with Terry at the East Tennessee Squatch Out about a month ago. So we had a really good time hanging out there. And he's got some great stories too, Dennis. Terry, I need you to come on the show. Let's talk about your little people encounters and stuff. So I'll send you a message. We'll talk about it. But yeah. Wow, Dennis, this is just absolutely fantastic. This conversation it's not surprising. We always have great conversations about this. But it's super important that we do keep an open mind about everything. We do know that there have been historical, and people given historical reports of Bigfoots being extracted out of areas, cryptids, all sorts of large animals. Okay, and I'm not necessarily calling a Bigfoot an animal, but I think that they are classified as an animal with the military. Okay, I do, because we did that show. I did a show. I had D.A. Roberts and Robbie Raines came on. We talked about the map that the U.S. Air Force, I believe, put out, and they did classify Sasquatch as a dangerous animal on that map. Dennis, have you heard about that?
Oh yeah, yes, absolutely. To me, they've always designated it that way. I think as a non-human target, without a doubt. I've had a lot of people ask me, Jessica, if I had Bigfoot in my sights, could I pull the trigger?
Oh,
And after having seen him, once upon a time, I would say, yeah, I might could do that. But now, no, I don't think I could. It would be almost like, to me, like murder, or killing a human being in a way. Because, like I say, the one I met that night, I was surprised by it, and the look of surprise on his face was interesting too. To me, it's a thing, a sentient being that has feelings. It'd be hard to kill something like that, but the government doesn't feel that way about it. The government, when it looks at us, even us, it doesn't see human beings. It sees numbers and coordinates and stuff like that. It doesn't consider the human factor or even the sentient factor of it. They would designate something like that definitely as a non-human entity.
okay. I agree with you with all that. However, I am prepared to use violence if I have to against someone who's trying to harm me. And if that were to be the case with anything, I don't care what it is or who it is, I will choose violence. Sorry. To protect my life and my child. Okay, I will. I don't want to, and I know. Please don't get mad at me, anybody. But it's same with a human. Okay, we have to protect our children and our lives and
Well,
stuff. So that's just me. That's just
the
me. You're the same way, Dennis. I know you are.
number one thing you got to remember about the number one rule is for survival. You do whatever it takes
Yeah.
to survive. If that means unaliving someone or something, that's what you got to do to survive. That is your God-given right to make sure of your
Yes.
own safety and life. Yeah.
Yes. But not an innocent person, not an innocent soul of any type. If something has not done anything to me, I will not pull a trigger. I promise you that. I would not. It would have to be life or death, for sure. And like Maureen says, catch me outside. How about that? Okay. Yes, I said it.
Well,
I said it. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate you and Gus. Thank
here's
you.
something something I've learned a long time ago. I want to leave with everybody tonight. Definitely. No matter how good of a monster hunter you are, and I've done it a long time, I've hunted everything, okay. No matter how good of a monster hunter are, you got to remember the number one rule of being a monster hunter, okay? And that is to have a heart, because once you lose your heart, then you become the monster.
Oh, that's right. Yes, and there are a lot of monsters out there. Okay, there are a lot of monsters, and got to keep your head on a swivel. That's right. Cryptiville says FAFO is his motto. I'm gonna let y'all figure out what that acronym stands for. I know what it means. Uh, got a whole lot of FAFO up in here tonight. If you're watching, guys, that's funny. Yes, they're probably watching all of us, especially us right now. It's okay. Um, but yeah, self preservation is never selfish, and I love that comment. Thank you so much for all these wonderful comments. That's 100% right, Laura. Thank you for that. And yes, I am a natural mama bear. I'm just a natural protectress. Okay, the cryptid huntress is a protectress too. I will defend and fight for anybody who I love. Okay, I will. You can ask anybody. I'm actually a pretty nice person. Okay, I know I'm not trying to make myself sound tough because I'm actually super duper nice, but I just don't take stuff from people. So I'll take it a little bit, and then I fight back. So,
That's what
but
that's what I love. That's what I love about you, Jessica. You're 100% the real deal. Okay.
thank you, thank you. Steve says he wants to go to bed, but his conversation's too good. I'm sorry. Sorry to keep y'all up tonight. I know this is not normal. I don't do a Sunday night show usually, but I was out of town this weekend. And so I know it's a work night for a lot of us. Okay. And a lot of us parents have kids on the East Coast. I'm over here on the East Coast. So I have to get up early too. But this is a great conversation. And we have Barry here. Barry wanted to know. I know we're kind of winding the show down a little bit. Barry said Dennis wants to hear about the disappearing Sasquatch, Dennis. Have you seen a disappearing Sasquatch?
The one that I was, well, it when I actually saw it, it stepped behind a very large oak tree in front of me. And like I say, I was close enough. I could have reached out and grabbed this guy. Okay, I could feel the body heat off of him. I could smell him very well. Believe me, he does smell. He does have quite a distinctive smell to him. But it was the look. We made eye contact. And I mean, it was just, I'm not going to say we formed a quick rapport there, but it was very interesting that he was looking back at me and he had sort of like a look of surprise, like on his face. Not real surprise, but it was there. I could tell it, or what I read into it anyway. But he immediately stepped behind this huge oak tree in front of me and he was just gone. I jumped up. I was very close to them. I jumped up to my feet and went around that tree that quick as it takes for me to tell you what happened. And he was completely gone. There was no way he could have gotten down through because they had a lot of brush in front of me. There's no way he could have got through that without me seeing. I looked up in the tree. I looked for a hole in the ground. I don't, to this day, I cannot tell you. I've had a lot of people ask me about that. What do you think he went to? What do you think happened? I said, I do not know. But I just know one thing. He was there one moment and completely gone the next.
Oh, what do you think happened? Do you think that he went through a portal or just did like an interdimensional thing? Like what happened? Did he
That's
camouflage?
that's the only explanation I can think of. That's the only answer I can come up with. He had to step through reality of some sort and be gone that quick.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh,
Hmm.
we got another Georgia girl in the chat tonight. We got where all my Georgia people at, y'all? Georgia and Alabama. I'm just as much in Alabama these days as I am in Georgia, by the way, or in Tennessee too. Um, so wow. Yeah, what a great show. Thank you for sharing that story, Dennis. That was cool. Barry knows how to bring out the stories, don't you, Barry? That's awesome that Barry's in here too tonight. We've got a lot of great people in here. Also, Noxie, thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate that very much. That's very kind of everybody. Everybody that's been giving super stickers tonight, y'all are the best. Amy says portal. Portal, Dennis. She thinks it could have been a portal. So, wow. All right. Well, I think this is a wonderful place to kind of wind the show down here, Dennis, because this has just been too good. And I know you are on your cell phone tonight. So am I actually. My equipment, I just kind of switch my equipment around all the time. And I know it's bedtime for us old folks here on the East Coast. Okay. So, but Dennis, tell everybody where they can find you. And well, first of all, what are your final thoughts on the Bigfoot removal by helicopters and everything we talked about tonight? What's a good summary?
Well, whether it's real or not, that I can't say. I wasn't there when it was taken, but it's very authentic looking in some aspects. The size of it and all that. In order for you to AI something like that, you would have to be a very good artist at it. Put it that way. You're very, very good, and you need a job in Hollywood, definitely. But here's my thoughts. I've had a lot of people, Jessica, ask me, so why doesn't anything like that ever happen to me? Why don't I see anything? Why don't I experience anything? Well, here's the number one answer to that question. Okay, you got to go looking for it sometimes in order to find it. And that's just the way it is with the supernatural, paranormal, and the cryptids and all that. That's the way it goes. You got to go looking for it to find it.
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
do. You do. I wanted before we give out all your information. I had one more thing I wanted to mention. I forgot. We were talking about having a cryptid or a Bigfoot in your crosshairs of your weapon. Okay. That's like having let's just say a GUN. I know we're on YouTube. So pointed at a cryptid. It'd be hard to ever pull the trigger. Okay. Well, that happened to my really good friend, Jeff Townsend. And he was on my show one Saturday night. He and I and Cryptidville, Mark, who's in the chat tonight, my FAFO friend, Mark and I, he co-hosted with me, and we brought Jeff on. He had an incident where he actually had a dog woman, I believe, in his crosshairs. It was either a dog man or a dog woman. He's had two encounters. One of them did have breasts, and he assumed it was a woman, a female, should say, female dog woman. And he could not. He didn't pull the trigger. He couldn't.
Dog men have to come from somewhere, so you got to have dog women too. There you go.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Well, I just think it's interesting, and the creature did not do anything to him, and he's the kind of person that will defend himself. Okay, and he chose not to pull the trigger. And so I think I've heard that a lot from people who have encounters with Bigfoots and stuff. And Kent says a guy reported he saw a Bigfoot in front of him, lifted his shotgun to shoot, and the Bigfoot went through a visible portal. Wow. That's pretty interesting. Definitely interesting. Okay. Well, wonderful, wonderful conversation tonight. Dennis, I hope you get your internet back up soon. I know you've got a few appearances that you're going to be on this week, and you have your own channel. Can you tell the audience about your channel and your Patreon?
Okay, yeah. Monday nights we have with my good friend Carroll Fountain. We have the Road Less Traveled. That's at 9. All my shows are 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, and Wednesday night we have Hunting the Shadows. I'm hoping I'll have a good one this Wednesday night about You Can't Stop the Signal. Okay, that's the name of it. And Friday night we have Paranormal Point of View. We talk about movies, books, stuff like that related to the paranormal. And my books are available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And you can reach me at DennisWCarroll.com or DennisWCarroll@gmail.com.
Wonderful. You guys, please go over and subscribe to Hunting the Shadows on YouTube if you have not already. It's a fantastic channel, Dennis, and I just love having you on here tonight. I'm so glad that we were able to make this work tonight, where you could come and hang out with me and all of our crowd. We're all so happy to see you. We're also happy that you're safe and you're here. So thank you so much, okay, for all you do.
Thank you.
Of course.
I appreciate all the prayers and the positive vibes. It helps a lot.
Well, good. I know you were turning into Mr. Primitive Man over there. You were probably camping out in your own house, and I know how that feels. I've had to do that myself before.
I was becoming a child of darkness. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I'm back in the light.
Yes, we got you out. We got you out of there. Somebody did. The power company did. All those linemen that are out there working. We sent all of our prayers out to those guys because they got a dangerous job, and there's a lot going on in this world right now. So we appreciate everybody. I appreciate Larry Sharp too. Larry Sharp, thank you for gifting a Cryptid Huntress channel membership. That is very sweet of you. I appreciate it. I hope you had a good birthday last week too. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, everybody, thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I want to thank all of my my moderators that were in here tonight. You guys are the best. And I think Larry gave another gift. Thank you so much, Larry. Larry, thank you so much for the gift. I combined Larry and gift together. Okay, so sorry, Larry. But it's been a wonderful, wonderful week. And I want to thank everybody, my moderators, my channel members, my Patreon members, and everybody that was watching tonight, all the chatters tonight. I call them chatters, all the viewers, everybody who's listening on podcasts. Y'all are the best. Please come back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Barry Littleton's coming on the show tomorrow at 1. We are going to have something fun to talk about. I'll announce that after the show tonight. Okay. But Barry will be here tomorrow with me. We're going to have a fun conversation live tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 Central. So, Dennis, I can't wait to see you again soon. Have a wonderful night. Everybody, y'all have a great night. Please stay safe out there and keep your head on a swivel. Don't live in fear. Keep your vibrational frequencies high. And come back to hang out with us if you need a boost. Okay. Y'all have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, Dennis.